All right, I am ready whenever you guys are. We're recording.
Yep, I'm recording. We're all
All
good.
right.
So the dad wasn't the guy from Hey Dude?
No.
I swear to God, Kyle, you might be the only person I've ever heard reference "Hey Dude."
What about Ben Stiller's wife?
I haven't interacted with her much.
Oh, yeah.
They don't hang out as
Same
much.
here.
Yeah. Episode 350 of the TV Dudes, recorded September 15th, 2021. Family Matters. This week it's our 350th episode, and we're talking about Family Matters. That's right, it's time to talk about the reboot of a beloved ABC family show. No, not that one. Doogie Howser gets a new look at No Locale with Doogie Kamealoha, MD, on Disney+. Then, there are the complicated Family Matters of Irish Gangsters and Kin on AMC+. And the less than stellar family drama that is puzzingly at the head of FX's adaptation of Why the Last Man. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Y'all, we had talked about doing a big 350 episode extravaganza, but instead, we decided to watch a bunch of disappointing TV.
Yeah,
I swear
you
to
know,
God, it's really impressive that this episode is just as much a Family Matters episode, since Reginald VelJohnson really takes a back seat.
it's true.
Yeah, there was one show that we watched this week, other than the Double Desserts, of course, that I think we all liked, and two shows that we all hated to one degree or another, and we're going to talk about all that. But before we get to talking about all that, it's time to talk about everything we watched this week with our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Kyle, you want to kick us off here?
Man, don't mind if I do, because I got into a little bit of a binge this week. That was kind of fun. Lego Masters. This, as we're recording, I think either tonight or it might have been last night. So if you're listening to this on Friday when we drop, it'll probably be on your HULU or whatever. But they're hitting their season finale. And gosh, it's been a lot of fun this season. And they really found ways to not only up the ante on like the designs, but like the challenges. So they did one this in one of the later episodes where it's teams of two, but they split them up and they each had to build half, but they didn't get to like, nobody knew what the other half was going to look like. And then hopefully they could stick them together at the end. And like one team, the scale was completely off. One guy did like a 4-foot thing. One guy did like a 10-inch thing. But no, my gosh, it's been a lot of fun. And I feel like all the teams have been like, they've done a really good job with both like having people on there that are entertaining, but also like the best at completing the contest. Because with a lot of these reality TV shows, you might have somebody who's really good and wins everything, but is just a wet noodle on screen. And then the people who are like, you know, really causing the drama are fun on camera. They tend to get voted off quick. But that's not the case on here. And fun enough, my brother and his wife, they just had their first baby. And came a little early, so the baby's in the hospital, and they've been spending a lot of time there. But this has been like their one go-to show. So Thursday night, we're gonna all get on a Zoom together and watch the season finale together.
Yeah, I'm way behind on that show.
Same.
I need to catch up to it.
Yeah, no, we've really tried to stick with that and making it. That's probably what we're gonna go blow through next. But the no, I'm really digging that. I also went and caught up all the way through Only Murderers in the Building. I'd only seen the first couple when we had talked about it.
No,
And
it's Only Murders in the Building, Kyle.
Only Murders in the Building?
Only Murders in the Building is the podcast within the episode.
Yes.
Ah.
They wanted to make sure
okay.
that was as confusing as possible.
As possible.
I also
I just
caught up
got
on
to
that
the-
one.
Jokes!
I just got to the part where Tina Fey is doing her podcast about them.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'm like, gosh, the Sting episode. Oh, if you can get to that Sting episode, it's so worth it.
Yes.
It's getting better every episode as it goes along. I'm loving Only Murders in the Building.
Yep. I am loving What We Do in the Shadows.
Mhm.
Also loving Reservation Dogs, although I'm probably going to watch that after we record tonight. I'm like one behind on that. But then, get jealous, boys, because I've seen it. Episode 1 of American Crime Story Impeachment.
Yeah, they're showing that on some what's it, network TV? I don't. It's what it says here.
I got the satellite out front, guys. You guys don't got a satellite dish.
It's some streaming network called Cably.
Cably. Yeah, it's
Cably?
weird. That's
Cably?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's Cablé. I think pretty sure it's
Cablé.
French.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Is that one you get only on your phone or something? Is that one of those?
I think so. You've got to use a VPN.
It used to be called Quibi.
Yes, now it's Cably.
Cably. But no, it's good. I'm at a loss for her name, but the actress who's playing Monica Lewinsky, I've seen her in a bunch of
The Beanie
comedic
Feldstein?
roles. Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, she was in oh man, not
Neighbors
8th
2,
grade.
Sorority Rising.
She's Jonah Hill's sister.
Jonah
Oh,
Hill's
no.
sister. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 8th grade. What's the other one that's like that? That's
Booksmart.
like a
It-
Booksmart.
That's
She
it.
was in Booksmart.
Ah, that's right. No, in this, they give her, like, they start the first scene is kind of a flash forward, but they give her a really juicy scene with, is it Sarah Paulson? The Nurse Ratched?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sarah
yeah.
Paulson, who's
Yeah.
playing Linda
She's
Tripp.
playing the,
Oh,
Yeah.
Linda Tripp. Oh man.
the scene with them where they started out with, she gets to like launch into this like raging monologue, and the FBI agents are like, "You want us to shut the door?" And no, let that bitch watch. Like, it is so good. And oh my gosh, Sarah Paulson, like, I've seen her do late night talk shows and interviews, and she seems like a very lovely person. But every character she does, I'm like, this is the worst human being I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how she nails those characters so well, because she doesn't seem like an awful person in real life. But man, she can play a B word really good.
Yeah, I said, bitch. Then I laid it out.
But you said bitch, though.
Yeah.
And then they saved like the whole episode. You don't get to see Bill Clinton until the very end. What's that actor's name from Children of Men who's playing him? Clive Owen?
Is it Clive Owen?
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's
He's
weird.
got the voice perfect.
Weird.
And they
Really?
made him up. He looks just like him. And yeah, he's got the voice 100%.
Wow.
That's bizarre.
Yeah,
I
it
won't
is
have to watch it just
uncanny.
for that,
I-
honestly.
I can't even picture that.
No.
They're going to do like the mashup reels on YouTube of like all his Bill Clinton scenes, like for sure. It's going to be, if they give him something juicy, I think it's going to be, a noteworthy role for next year that people talk about. They're definitely going to be talking about the Monica Lewinsky role for sure. And they're always talking about Sarah Paulson. So, but yeah, that and all the homework, Ted Lasso, the Marvel What Ifs, the Kin, which I really want to like. I mean, there's likable things in there.
Nothing
I
wrong
guess we'll
with
talk
it.
about
We'll
it.
talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Les, what about you?
Let's see. I just had that open.
So why the last man?
Why
indeed?
indeed?
All right.
I think after COVID, we just don't want post-apocalypse anything.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
agree.
show with the little reindeer kids. Like, just I'm not doing it, man.
Sweet Tooth was honestly the best that they've done lately, but I didn't want Utopia either. Yeah.
That's
So this
another
week,
one.
this week I watched Intense 2, the Canadian whatever sitcom soap opera that I've been watching. Ted Lasso, What If, Parks and Rec. Started rewatching Travelers, Netflix's standard issue 3 season time travel. I think it's 3 seasons. Time travel show, which I really liked and is really fun on rewatch. Stargirl, which has continued to be great. The fight scenes are annoying. Their wire work is fucking weird. I mean, like real weird, and it's annoying.
She's got like a gymnastics power set in that show.
Yeah, but so does
Yeah.
everyone, and it doesn't correspond to any physics. Like there's no wall to bounce off of. You know they just use the wire. Like there's a couple of spots where I'm just like, that's just odd. Also, there's one character who does not have any powers. Her parents don't have any powers, but she's clearly super fucking strong. And they've just way the fuck oversold it, and that's annoying. But
I think somebody should make that a superpower. Like Spider-Man's got webs. Like, what if the power was I can just create gaffer wires everywhere
Right.
and like fling myself in directions and stuff.
yes, yeah, if it's just wire work all the time.
Just whip up a stunt rope.
Evil has continued to be crazy and really fun. Res Dogs is a treat. Rewatched. I had seen this movie, I think, exactly one time all the way through. The Wedding Singer. That came out when Sandler was riding high and ascendant to, just unstoppable heights. And I was really, really fucking tired of Adam Sandler at that moment, and remained so for quite a while. I didn't watch The Wedding Singer. I finally saw it all the way through once. It was on all the fucking time while we were in college, so I feel like I've seen huge clips of this, but it was really why I kept sitting through the movie going, I know what bit's coming up, but I don't know what's going to happen in the plot. Like, oh, shit, is this the take off my Van Halen shirt before the band breaks up scene? Oh, damn, but then I'd be caught off guard when, like, someone did something. I really enjoyed it. It was good. What We Do in the Shadows remains just adorable, and I can't believe y'all never mentioned it before.
I will kill you.
This man right here, I say.
Jackie Date.
The goal.
American Horror Story remains amazing. This may be my favorite season they've done. I'm looking forward to whatever the next half is going to be, too. John Oliver, which I learned way more than I wanted to know about Lukashenko. And I didn't get there in time to buy a bear. They were already sold out of the bears, but I did donate $20. Malignant, which we'll discuss on the Patreon. And then Lisa was watching The Big Flower Fight on Netflix, and I watched an episode of that. It is a flower.
Is that a baking
sports?
show?
Is that sports?
Yes, it is a sports show. Yeah, they make things out of flowers. It's a floral competitive show. The one that I watched, they were making these giant thrones that had to be out of like vegetables and stuff. I don't know if they intended it or not, but there was a very Midsummer vibe. I was like, I don't know that you want to win this round. I'm not entirely sure where it's going to go. So yeah, about what I watched this week.
What about you, Nick?
Oh, you know me. I watched some Justified.
Oh yeah.
I watched the newest episode of What We Do in the Shadows with the car, Laszlo's car. That they had to
Yeah.
Man,
take apart.
they
and
spoiled it in
back.
the trailer, but the fire gag was so good.
Oh yeah, the fire gag was great. Nah, I'm just kidding. It doesn't hurt.
You're not getting in here like that.
Oh, I love that he just gives him the can like he knows what he's gonna like he's going to fill the car up, and he just dumps it loosely all over.
He just dumps it on the...
It's a hybrid, coal and gasoline.
Yes,
You can call it a hybrid. I enjoyed it so much. I actually started watching the first season again, just to go back.
Yeah.
And I really do love that show. I think it's got a great just sense of like The Office, but not quite the same humor style. I don't know. It's hard to pin down.
Yeah.
But I really like it.
They Taika had a really great thing he said about the show, because they were who's the Jermaine Clement who he created it with.
Yeah.
When they were working on it, he was like, this was like a little joke that we made up that we have stretched way too far into like some dumb shit now. And he goes, well, you know what? The world needs more dumb shit. Like,
yeah,
that's what we need right now. We don't need serious stuff. We just need some dumb shit out there. Which for that it is a pretty smart show, but
no, I really enjoyed it. I watched the newest episode of Lower Decks. They're trying to get into a party, which was pretty fun. And through a bunch of shenanigans, they actually end up in a bar where Kirk and Spock used to hang out when they couldn't get into the parties, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode.
I watched the movie Level 16 on Netflix. And I remember almost nothing about it. It's about a bunch of girls that are like being bred for people to use their face, I guess, for women to use their faces. I don't know. It was very boring.
Once again, Nick, we're not at Truth is Stranger Than Fanfiction yet. You can stop pitching
Sure.
that to me.
I also watched that Kate, that movie with
Oh,
Mary
Woody
Elizabeth
Harrelson
Winstead.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
it's Winstead, yeah. It has a really great visual with Winstead walking slow-mo in the third act, smoking a cigarette with a like Tamagotchi or like My Neighbor Totoro shirt on in Japan while a bunch of Yakuza guys back her up. And that was about it.
Yeah, I've heard some kind of rough stuff about that one.
No, it's pretty it's very boring assassin takes care of a kid, or she killed the kid's father, and her handler is played by Woody Harrelson, and I will give you a guess as to whether or not where his loyalties lie by the end of it.
Yeah.
They hid it for so long, I thought like maybe they're not gonna nope, there it is. And then I watched Defunctland because I watched Les sent me a link for the Muppets Defunctland.
Oh.
So I could like kind of go through the whole process of how the Muppet Show got created, and Jim Henson, how many failures he had to go through in order to get the Muppet Show, and probably why the Muppet Show has that feeling of a bunch of Muppets putting on a show that's not quite that good, that's not great. Like in their universe, it's not good. Like the celebrities are always pissed to be there.
Like so many Muppet plot lines involve like trying to get the show made.
And yeah, and I find that very funny. It feels like Jim Henson's frustration is present in the show that they ended up making. Also, like just him and his friendship with Frank Oz was very touching. Just very. I find Jim Henson and the Muppets. I don't know. Like as a kid, I was much more into Ninja Turtles, and I liked the Muppets, sure. But now, having gone back and watched them, it's like one of the only things I've gone back and watched and liked. Not even just liked, but loved a lot more than even when I was a kid. It's fascinating to me. It's really funny, ahead of its time humor, and I'm obsessed with the Muppets now. Which is why I watched Muppet Treasure Island for what I thought was going to be the Patreon for this week.
Same.
Oh no, it could be. We could talk a bunch of horror movies and
sorry
also
for
Muppets.
ragging on Muppets earlier.
Oh sure,
I'm not sorry at all.
Muppet Treasure Island is so close to like actually working. Like it's so close to like it's still good, but it's a good Tim Curry movie rather than a good Muppet movie. And I don't know how to explain, but like I would have cast Tim Curry in that movie too, like for the idea of it, but actually watching it on person, like, oh no, he's outshining the Muppets. Like the Muppets are the grounded characters next to him.
Yeah.
Which is not what the human characters are supposed to do.
That man's more comfortable with puppets than anyone should be.
It's weird. He's looking dead at Gonzo in the face, and with the intensity. I just kind of want to go into production. Like, I want to see the production if anyone had to pull him aside and like, this is great, Tim, but just so we know for sure, that was a puppet, right?
That's how I feel about the Arlo Guthrie episode on Muppet Show. Like, I don't know if he's just real high or what, but like, there's a moment where like, those are puppets, right, Arlo?
There's a moment like where they're just too into it. Just like, I don't know, this feels too real. Oh no, very odd. But yeah, that was my TV diaries.
All right, so I watched all the homework. I watched a lot of the same stuff you guys did. What We Do in the Shadows of Keeping Up With, Keeping Up with Star Trek Lower Decks, Only Murders in the Building, which episode 4 is fantastic. Really, really digging that. I also watched some horror movies. It is that time, so I watched Psycho Goreman, which I adored, and I can't wait. We're going to talk about that on the Patreon this week. I love Psycho Goreman. So I can't believe you guys never recommended it to me. I feel like
was I right or was I right?
Yeah, it was a blast. Also saw Malignant, James Wan's newest, and I have mixed feelings, as does everyone on the internet. It's either love or hate, it seems like. I'll be interested to talk about that with you guys. I think I'm the only one here who loves AP Bio, which I've put on the schedule for next week, but I burned through all 8 episodes of season 4, and honestly, it's just gotten better now that it's on Peacock. Like, I feel like this was on the level of Community at its best right now. It is so good. It's so fun.
I liked season 1. I guess I just never caught back up with it.
It's so good, and you should binge the last 3 seasons so we can talk about it next week. Because man, it's super good.
I love the comparison to Community because I feel like Joel McHale in the lead was kind of typecast when it started.
Yeah.
But then once people gave him a chance, it's like, oh no, this is completely different than what he's done before.
Yeah,
and that's the same. Yep.
And that's absolutely true for the guy whose name is not Dennis.
I almost did that.
Thus proving your point. But yeah, he's grown as a character. I like him. I also love the ensemble, love the kids. Patton Oswalt and Paula Pell are fantastic. I can't wait to talk about it next week. I was really pleased with it. It's worth the $5 to have Peacock just to watch that. Because Les mentioned that Doogie Kamealoha reminded him of Doogie Howser. I don't know if I've ever seen the first episode, so I won't watch the first episode of Doogie Howser just to sort of compare, which was kind of fun to go back and watch. I also watched 2 episodes of Top Chef Family Style, which is another Peacock original. It is Marcus Samuelsson and Megan Trainor, who's not even a chef or much of a foodie. Huh? She's not sure why she's there.
She's all about that base, though.
She is. She's all about.
Or was it bass the whole time? Is she really just like a pescatarian?
She loves fish. She loves fish. But
it was all about that bass this whole time. I had no idea.
All about that bass.
Mm-hmm.
The pitch for this one, though,
no carp,
was one of these things where I was like, I don't know about this. It's basically these kid chefs, and they get to bring one person with them, whether it's a sister or a mom or an aunt or a grandfather or a dad or whatever. And that they're
Willy Wonka rules.
They're a cooking team, and when you put kids in a thing, it's usually not great. But this is actually super fun to watch, and these kids are cooking on a level where I'm like, shit, I'm 50, I should give up cooking because that 9-year-old could kick my ass in the kitchen. And it's also kind of sweet. Like there's a dad and his son, and they both have this like really strong bond. There's a mom and a kid who like are both from, I want to say, Brooklyn. And they're both just hilariously, like they bicker with each other, but they obviously love each other. It's really good. And you know, at Top Chef, you usually pick someone you're like, oh, I hate that person. I want them to lose. This one, I'm like, I like all these people. They're cute. They're fun. And the dishes look fun. And the challenge has been interesting. Like I'm digging it. It's got me interested in watching. Also, since it's Peacock, it means I don't have to wait until Bravo decides I can watch it on a streaming network. So. I watched on Apple Plus, I watched Come From Away, the new Broadway musical, which I started out being sort of a arms crossed 9/11 unity bullshit. I don't want to small town goodness. I didn't want to see any of that shit. And then by the end, I was like, no, that was really good. So if you like musicals, that was really good. Alan Sepinwall posted about the upcoming Many Saints of Newark movie, some Sopranos episodes to watch in order to prepare. Alan's way more into Sopranos than I am. He's written like 2 books on the subject. I have only seen it through once, and I didn't love it. I just liked it. But I did go through and watch like an episode of season 1, episode of season 4, episode in season 6, just to kind of prep myself for the Many Saints of Newark movie. And it's a good show. It's a well done show, and Gandolfini was always amazing in it. So it's kind of fun to revisit that.
My favorite thing was the ducks, because how are you going to sort your shit out without ducks, yo?
It's true. It's true.
My favorite thing was when the world stopped for the season finale and all smacked our televisions at the same time.
What?
Yeah, right.
No fucking ziti.
But yeah, that's my TV diary. That's where I leave off for the week. And with that, we should head on over to our other regular segment. Truth is stranger than fan fiction.
Imagine, if you will, a reality containing television programs so bizarre they are indistinguishable from the ravings of a madman. Is the show you are about to hear simply a fabrication in the mind of a man with clearly nothing better to do with his time? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fan fiction?
All right, who's going this time? It's Les last time,
It was
so
me last time.
Randy, you're up.
Is it me? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't know. I'm just saying it's you with authority.
That's fine. It's your segment, man. You run this show.
All right, so your letters are D and V.
I'm gonna go with V.
V? Very interesting. I would have gone with D, but maybe I've been getting too much D in my life, so...
Oh, I see.
So this show is quite interesting. It is a spy show, animated, not unlike Archer, very funny, and it is about but it's about what if James Bond was gay and he was not allowed to be James Bond because of that. This God, what's his name? Merryweather. Like everyone has very stereotypical gay names,
Okay.
and this guy, he after Don't Ask, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was removed. Like I guess it was removed for Secret Service agents as well,
Uh-huh.
and he was about to get like a commendation. Like the first 5 minutes are him receiving this commendation of being the head of this new spy agency, like his top of his class. He was gonna teach the school or had a huge head position or head up a thing, and then he announced that like, and no one asked, but I'm gonna tell, I'm a gay man. And then all of a sudden, two dudes from the back come up like, oh, actually, sorry, they treat it like like the Moonlight or whatever. Like, no, actually, Moonlight won. Never mind. The no, it's not La La Land. No, we have someone that's coming up that is a white straight man, and that's just a coincidence. That's not what's happening here. And he gets transported with all the other apparently gay members that came out as gay in the Secret Service agents. They threw them all in Miami because
Sure. Yep.
the guys were like, "What? We put you in Miami. We thought you'd love that." And they were like, "Don't get me wrong, we do, but we don't like, but we don't like being sidelined." They spend 10 years doing grunt work or whatever, and to the point where they finally go rogue just to try and get some. They figure less. Like, remember when we were doing chaos? They do a chaos move of as long as even if we break all the rules, as long as we get results and get a terrorist at the end of this, they can't ignore us. They'll have to work with us in order to get the info we get.
Yeah.
It's like, so we just have to succeed.
Just put your boss in a position of taking credit for the success, and you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But if they don't succeed, it's basically treason. So they get I forget who's part of the crew. There's a large black gay woman who is cover is a mechanic because that's what people believe she is. Like no one ever asks her about it. She knows nothing about cars, but is never checked on it ever. What was the other one? Oh, there's a hacker girl. I think she might be actually maybe they're gender non-binary. I should have looked that up. No, I think they refer to her as a her. Anyway, they have a what's it? Damn it. Right, they get the virus or whatever, like from the first mission, and then in the next mission they are trying to crack it, and they end up making an AI that the hacker falls in love with, because they analyze everything that the hackers ever said, and become like a perfect union for that. And the AI becomes sentient during a Eurovision contest, because they have to go save a kidnapped person during Eurovision, and the AI creates, based off of all the songs that have won previous Eurovisions, they make a perfect song with the perfect lyrics, which are basically just generic Eastern European like mountains. You know that song like that's like about like pickup trucks for country music, like about pickup trucks, ex-girlfriend, dog, and they just like named shit off. Like it's like that, but for Eastern European countries. So, like, yeah, and then wine and public health system. They just name a bunch of shit. And what was the last one? Oh, right. How could I forget? There is a character called, and this is what the character is named. So please don't at me on this.
Uh-oh.
They're called Twink.
Okay.
They're exactly what you think. Exactly. Like, picture a character named Twink on an animated show. That is what they are.
I never watched Drawn Together, but we're not talking about Drawn Together, are we?
No.
Nope.
Although he does have what's his name? Xander, the Link guy. Like very Link vibes.
I'm just kind of remembering from a still shot of that show, which I don't think I really watched, that there was some kind of like super effeminate elf that was like constantly sexual.
Oh yeah. They send him on seduction missions. He's very good at it. And they receive a handler called Buck that is their straight guy because they won't let them work. They won't let them. They get the success, but like, okay, but we won't let you work without supervision. So we're sending one straight dude over there to work with you, so that your gayness doesn't screw up a mission or something. I don't know what the fuck the idea is, but Buck is hilarious. He's so testosterone, like toxic male, but he's so dumb and easily manipulated, which is so funny because the gay Merryweather, gay James Bond, has to ask him for advice in order to seduce a dude because the straight guy's actually better at it. Like, he's like, oh, it's all about confidence, dude. No. Trust me, that dude wants to have sex with me. But you're not gay. That doesn't make a difference. He wants to have sex with me, and I know that. That's why he wants to have sex with me. It's like a Rubik's cube of like of desire. I haven't finished it yet, but I did get to the point where their boss pretends to be gay James Bond's mom, and he ends up oiling her in the background of like a thing where his boyfriend and his parents are at. And she's supposed to be undercover, and like, I don't know why, but they're having a casual conversation, like, okay, now rub lotion on your mother's back, and she takes her bra off. I'm like, what? And the conversation isn't sexual, it's just basically plot, it's just basically exposition. It's just very awkward for no reason.
There's a reason, it's called anime.
So guys, did I struggle with my sexuality for the last week and now have thought up a perfect metaphor for that for a show like that? Or is this truth indeed stranger than fan fiction?
Can't it be both?
It could be.
I think this is fake, but I kind of want it to be real, but I think it's fake.
Oh, okay.
I'm the opposite. I'm afraid it's real, but I want it to be fake.
I love we got both ends of the spectrum. Kyle, where are you coming on it?
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is real. This seems like something somebody would make.
I'm picturing like a
And maybe you were that somebody.
Like, yeah, I feel like I can even picture the anime style, but at this point, we've just seen enough anime that you describe these crazy fucking things, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
Well, I've seen worse.
It's just nothing shocks you anymore.
Like, I have a loose idea of what the costume looks like for that. Yeah.
What if I said if it wasn't an anime?
Please don't let.
I see. That's what I was thinking. It sounded like it wasn't an anime. It is animated though, right?
It is animated. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen. Then I feel like I've seen something. They're gonna say the name. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. What? It's real, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, Les, and you're welcome, Randy. This show is called Q-Force. It's the animated.
Okay, yes, I did see this. This is going on Netflix.
Okay.
Yep. And I checked it out this week, and I was going to talk about it on TV Diaries, but then I thought, like, wait a minute, I bet you these guys don't know about it.
So it's a Netflix anime.
It's Netflix
anime.
Hey, I didn't check, so maybe it's the Transformers rule. Maybe they put anime on the end of it.
I still can't believe that they open it with a Netflix anime, blah blah blah, whatever Transformers like.
The balls on Netflix.
Guys, the cast in the show is great too. The mechanic black woman is played by Wanda Sykes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Buck, the straight guy, is played by David Harbour. So funny. It's just great.
I'd almost I didn't know the plot or anything about it. I just saw the advertisement on Netflix. But yeah, I have to check that.
So yeah, you in describing this, Nick, you caught my interest. I didn't quite catch. Did you like it? Is this good?
It's good.
Okay, cool.
I think it's very strange, very like it's kind of like that strange humor of like I said, they're lotioning the back, but there's not anything really funny going on in the scene. It's really just straight exposition. It's just very awkward and like kind of the Adult Swim type humor. But I kind of really like that. Yeah, I was trying to figure out Gary Cole. He plays the uptight, homophobic dude that's running the entire agency.
Oh, that's good casting.
Yeah, it's
love
good
me
casting.
some Gary Cole.
Yeah,
yeah.
I looked at the cast and I was like, man, they nailed this.
Yeah, this may have to go. This is gonna be like that America the Movie thing where you talk me into it and I really wound up loving it. So
I bet you, if you liked America the Movie, you're probably gonna like this.
Yeah. Well, this seems like a good time. Just a reminder that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. throw us $1 an episode. In exchange, we get to keep with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're going to start our September movie days with Psycho Gorman and Malignant, and possibly Muppet Treasure Island. We also have our $20 showrunner level. So if there are shows you want us to throw in the rotation, you can buy into that level. Give us a couple of ideas. Later, I think next week, the plan is to talk about Psycho-Pass on behalf of our patron Max. That will clear out our docket, which means it's time for y'all to, if you're on that showrunner tip, time to throw us some shows.
Like what, Randy? What kind of examples?
Any show, like there's shows on AMC Plus or Showtime, both of which we have and don't watch a lot of shows on. We could watch them.
Actually, I would rather watch anime rather than AMC Plus. I don't know about anybody else. But...
There's got to be a happy medium between everything happens at once in the first episode and nothing happens for the season.
And nothing happens.
That's true.
Got to be some happy medium.
I'm just saying there are 2 full networks that do not have any anime on it. I know that one of our other patrons is talking about sending us to Crackle to watch some weird shit, and
which I do have. It's free.
Everyone has it. Yeah, it's like Tubi.
Didn't they buy the Quibi stuff?
That's not what I was.
You could that's Roku.
I thought you were about to name it disease. Right. Like everybody's got Crackle.
To be fair, Les, I didn't have Crackle before I met you.
Remember when Rick Perry tried to get the Crackle back?
No. Yeah. But anyway, my point being, and this is very important, I don't know if I stress it enough every week, you do not have to make us watch anime at all. There's so many other things you can make us watch.
Anime versions of wrestling.
Or that.
Les, you're making a joke, but there is an anime like that.
Is it Lucha Libre? Or
no,
or
it's Ultimate
Lucha?
Muscle.
That's what it was. What is it called?
Ultimate Muscle. And Lucha is an American one.
Yeah, Mucha Lucha is not an anime. I was trying to sneak in a cartoon I wouldn't mind watching.
Look, I'm just saying, find something that's going to make Nick suffer instead of all the rest of us for once.
I mean,
we're back to AMC Plus.
What's going to make me suffer and you guys not?
Right?
I don't know. My standards are so low.
It's true. You watched all of that the Netflix show about the Baker Street.
Yes, the Irregulars.
The one that we only know the name of it still because I watched it all.
It's the real Rob of Sherlock adaptation.
If I had not watched it all, we would have forgotten about it, and no one would ever remember the Irregulars.
Yeah. Nope. It's
the most anyone's ever talked about the Irregulars is us talking about how no one remembers it.
I have given a name to my pain, and it is the Irregulars.
Yes. It is the Irregulars.
Like, everything I know about Real Rob is entirely from jokes on this show.
Yeah, as it should be. Let's talk about this week's TV. Let's start with the good one. Let's start with Doogie Kamealoha, MD, on Disney Plus, which takes the Doogie Howser formula and applies it to a 16-year-old girl living in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
How much Doogie Howser did you guys watch?
Quite a bit.
None.
When I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that show came on at the
yeah,
exact right age for me, and I watched a bunch of Doogie Howser. When did that first air?
It was. How many seasons did it run? Because I feel like it was one of those shows that was just always on in my house and not in syndication.
97
like,
episodes.
There would always be either like a primetime viewing or, they sometimes would rerun them in primetime.
Yeah. I was a book nerd 11-year-old when that show started. So yeah, 16-year-old doctor was like a show definitely aimed at nerdy friendless.
He wasn't 16 though. Randy, you just watched the first episode. Wasn't he much younger?
No, he's 16.
No, he's 16. He just looks younger because Neil Patrick Harris is a baby face.
Yeah. I looked that up as well. I thought they aged her up, but they did
the show did get kind of weird when he was like...
He's got Tom Holland disease.
Yeah. No, I mean, 16 in 1980 or 1990 something is very different than 16 in 2021. Yeah. So
he looks like the good fairy made his wish come true for a puppy to become a real boy.
But no, they put them both on the same timeline. They've been practicing for 2 years. No, I take that back. She is still doing, I think, her residency, but they've been licensed for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah. She graduated. She became a doctor at age 14. Mm-hmm. Right. I thought this was super charming. I thought they did a great job. When I went back and watched Doogie, they have a really unfortunate subplot running in the first episode where a like 20-something nurse basically fake seduces Doogie and pulls his pants down in front of all his colleagues as a birthday prank. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It was, and I'm so glad none of that happens
glad
in
they
this
cut
one.
all
That's
of
such an
that.
odd thing to do to a colleague, much less a
No.
minor.
Yes.
Yeah, a little kid, like, she basically acts like she's gonna blow him. It's fucked. It's
That's
really,
way
really
fucked.
messed.
Yeah.
It's messed up. It's really messed up. And she
Oh.
goes, I mean, I could almost excuse it if it's like she's teasing him a little bit so that she can get him in the room and then they're all going to do a big surprise. But no, it's like a prank. And then she like goes so far as to pull his pants down. And that's way too far.
I heard they were going to include a plot line that was similar into the new one, but they said that heroes don't go down for some reason. I don't know why. They said it wouldn't be believable.
But there's also, I think, to its detriment, there is no Vinny in this one. Her best friend is very likable, but Vinny is in a class all his own.
They try. I feel like they are trying to have her best friend fill that horn dog role, for lack of a better term.
But it works differently with girls.
But you can't quite do it the same, because like her friend is definitely like as soon as she crawls through the window of her room, like, so is your brother here? When can I ask your brother? How's your brother going to like it's just constantly like boy crazy, but it comes off more boy crazy where Vinny can't be left alone with people.
No, you can't trust him with people. But also at the same time, he's the real world. He knows the real world as opposed to Prodigy Doogie. And they are doing that a little bit. I've seen the second episode and I feel like everything gels a little bit better.
Well, it sounds like we shouldn't take any of the sex cues off the original.
No, God, no. No.
Well, I was going to say, I love her best friend. I thought she's the best part of the show, but I haven't seen the original Doogie Howser.
I'm glad that I feel like they got the root of what the best friend's supposed to be. Like you said, the street smart one.
It's there.
Did any of you guys think of the Harold and Kumar movies at all when watching this? Because I feel like the last time Doogie Howser was really in the zeitgeist was Harold and Kumar, not necessarily the Doogie Howser show. Like Neil Patrick Harris has kind of parodied, what he did back then. So there was part of me that was actually kind of thinking of that going into this.
I kind of liked that I was wondering how they were going to if they were literally just going to have this be Doogie and we were just going to have that be her nickname. I mean, like have that be a variant on her name, because he's Douglas Howser. I think it's his full name. And I like that they instead went kind of meta with it. Like Doogie Howser is a show in this world, and because she's a 16-year-old doctor, of course people make the joke.
Of course they would call her that,
and it annoys her. And then, of course, the plot line, the subplot they do in that first episode of her losing a patient.
One's clever, but also really like lazy.
It's so contrived and easy. Yeah,
it's so easy. Like they just in one sentence, like, oh yeah, it used to be a show, now we're doing it.
I love it. I'm all for it. I think it's clever more than
I thought you were meaning contrived and easy doctor... that they had Brian. Was it Brian Bostwick?
It was Barry Bostwick.
Having him be that's her. That's her guy that she, her patient that she's getting along with, and she's definitely going to go to that dance, and then he's going to fucking die. And
which,
wow,
by
that
the
happens.
Way, again, another improvement. Barry Bostwick, the older, it reminded me of kind of the thing they would do on Scrubs. They did do on Scrubs, have the older patient die. On Doogie, it was a fucking 7-year-old kid who dies. Like they went dark in that first one.
Wow,
Jesus. Even Mojo going dark.
Okay.
This was an improvement on the original Doogie in a lot of ways, and Bochco's a TV legend, of course, and he was always doing weird
Cop
shit.
Rock, Randy.
Yeah, I respect Cop Rock, but Disney does what they always do, which is they come in just like they did with Big Shots, just like they did with Mighty Ducks. It's like we know where all the story beats are, we know the inspirational stuff you want to see, and we're plugging into that formula in a way that is enjoyable, even though you know every bit that's going to happen. So, the kiss on the beach is very satisfying. The stuff with your parents, by the way, the mom is the same person who plays the theater teacher on Big Shots. I feel like they got some kind of double contract deal. They're like, okay, well, you're going to be a regular on 2 of these shows.
This is Disney getting back to Mouse House crew. I feel like actors.
Yeah,
the mom is awesome.
Yeah, she does.
She's great.
I love
her. I love her.
Yeah,
she's doing great with it.
She was on Extras. Was fantastic on, or not Extras, episodes. Was fantastic on episodes.
I really feel her struggle of trying to keep up with this kid of hers that is surpassed her in a field, but still be the mom and her boss at the same time. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic, and it causes strife. But I also like I like that the son, when he says like, "Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, girls aren't a big deal. I've kissed 45 girls." The dad is horrified, and the mom looks like proud of it.
That was a great. That's in the second episode. That's a great flip of expectations.
Yeah, and it was like, "Oh, I'm not proud of it. That's a lot." Like, it's just
for an island.
Jason Scott Lee being the dad. Jason Scott Lee.
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah. I think so.
He's really good, and I forget what his job was that he gave up to run Shaved Ice.
Investment banking or something like that.
Investment bank or something. And
Something
so now
boring.
he's like this guy who like was very successful in his own way, just like his wife. So he doesn't have to like compare himself to there, which I think is a smart move. But at the same time, he like stepped out of it and became this kind of hang loose, cool guy. And I think they're doing
he's
great
doing
stuff
what he
with
wants
him.
to do. Actually,
Yeah.
like, he seems pretty happy.
Food truck / flower truck.
Yeah,
that's right near the
He
beach.
hangs out at the ocean.
I love his constant like, I'm gonna go get in the ocean because it's right there.
Yeah.
It's just right over there. I'm gonna go.
Like he's Keanu Reeves driving a food truck or whatever. Go, dude, let's go to the ocean. Come on, man.
It's always dangerous when you do a show in Hawaii that you're going to like be too on the nose, and they are just this side of that line. I feel like it's like, okay, we get it, you're in Hawaii, but at the same time, like I kind of love this. Like she's dating a surfer boy. They do a bit with the music, with the ukulele music in the second episode. Like they are taking advantage of this being in Hawaii, of being a different culture, and I think it's really well done.
I'm enjoying it. I'm surprised. I haven't watched the second episode yet, but I have a lot of fond nostalgia for the original Doogie Howser, which clearly I should not revisit. I'm just gonna leave that intact and let this show pick it up.
You know what they nailed in this? That opening like title sequence. Like,
yeah, they did. Yes,
both episodes I got the goosies.
Well, and
yeah, it's perfect.
And even though they've got to update it, she's not going to be typing on like a monochrome screen blinking cursor. I feel like they did a really good job with the in video,
the vlog,
the Doogie vlog.
Yes, I forgot to mention that him tapping on the keyboard, turning away to pensively look, smile, and turn back and finish his thought. Like that was a thing, and I'm like, you can't do that anymore. What are they going to do? And having her basically make TikTok videos, I'm like, that's a really smart update on the whole thing. So yeah, I love that they kept it intact, but in a way that makes sense. I'm pretty impressed with this as an update of a show that I didn't really need to see an update of, but it's solid.
Certainly working better than Turner and Hooch.
They need to cross this over with Mighty Ducks.
I'll tell you what, there was one joke that really sold me on it and makes me say I'm into this for 2 more episodes at least, because they had like a Ted Lasso level, like I had to stop and think about it joke of like, but I want to go talk to him, and then the best friend says,
my gut tells me to hide under your brother's bed, pop out in the middle of the night and confess my love, but I don't. Because your mom told me not to do it anymore.
Yes, I love that. That was great.
and that caught me so off guard.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. That was you really got me with that one.
Yeah, it's better than it has any right to be honest.
No one's ever asked a teenage boy what he's feeling. Like, there's no precedent. Anything could happen.
That is the opposite effect, by the way, of the next show we're going to discuss. That I wasn't sure I was going to have time for, but I did have time to watch, and it turned from a watch into a hate watch, and that is Why the Last Man on FX. This was a troubled production. We knew this going in. They've swapped out almost the entire cast. They've changed showrunners. At one point, it was going to be a movie. Then it was going to be a show. Then they weren't going to do the show. Then they finally get the show on the air. They had done what looked like a pretty solid trailer, and I was really hopeful that all that behind-the-scenes drama...
I remember being so excited for this project 10 years ago.
Yes, because this comic ended in 2008.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It ran from 2002 to 2008. Like, this is a 15 to 20 year, like... Oh.
Yeah. But the thing is, because it is all about sort of gender politics and stuff through the sci-fi concept, and there's been a lot of developments in gender politics, I thought they had a chance to really do some cool, updated, like, take the basics of what worked about why, and really update it for 2020 era politics, sexual politics. Instead, they were like, hey, what if we made something as boring as The Walking Dead show?
Well, even worse, because The Walking Dead took a while for everyone to realize it was boring.
Yeah, this is boring right at the outset.
Well, I don't understand. They wait until the end of the first episode, like 45 minutes in, before they do the...
Yes, we all know the name of the show is Why the Last Man. We all know what we're getting here. And they tried to cheat it the same way that the comic does, where they start in media res. It is like 3 weeks later. It's in the middle of the pandemic thing, or not the pandemic, but the end of it. and then they jump forward and they jump back in time, which again, that's the structure of the comic, and that makes sense. But by the end of the first issue, they've caught back up. That is not the equivalent of an episode. I don't know who adapted. Well, I do know who adapted this. No one looked, but the people who adapted this, nobody in the room was like, "Hey, you know, an hour of TV is not the same as a single issue of a comic, right?"
No.
An hour of TV is like 3 or 4 issues.
Developing a bunch of characters that half of which we know are not going to be in the show after this.
Every single scene in the first episode, or almost every single scene in the first episode, has some kind of beginning to relationship or emotional connection or something with two people, one of whom you know from the premise of the show is dead.
It's gonna make
yeah. And the thing is, I understand adaptations need to be done. I understand you can't just straight up take a comic, but I went back and read the first issue of Y today just to see was it not as good as I remembered? No, it's a great first issue. And you know what makes it work? The dialogue stuff. Yorick is talking
it being funnier.
That's the thing. Yorick is talking to his girlfriend, Beth, who by the way is in fucking Australia, not in his apartment.
Well, she's about to move, which was a weird move because he proposes right then.
Well, and she needs to already be gone.
She needs to be gone. Like it needs to give him, because finding her in Manhattan is not as hard as finding her in fucking Australia.
Well, and also it makes your unprepared proposal make a little more sense because it's a desperate try to stay connected to your girlfriend who's in Australia.
Also, it makes her a unrealistic goal for him, like a perfect in his mind goal for us as an audience too. But now we see that
which is the point. Yeah.
What a weird decision. That was a weird take on it.
But also, she's in Australia, and he's talking to her while he's in a straitjacket performing his tricks, and he's talking to Ampersand, and so we get all that stuff established. Oh, he's an amateur magician. He doesn't have a job. He's struggling. All that is in exposition while we're seeing him while he's talking to Beth, and the whole conversation he's talking about Elvis's dead twin brother and how weird it is. He's like, can you imagine if that guy survived and that was this? He's like. Basically, he's like, yeah, what about, wrong man, wrong time? Like, it is thematically tying into what's going to happen, and it's an interesting little bit of pop culture, which Vaughn does all.
But, Randy, then we wouldn't have gotten introduced to that little kid and learned about his dad who wants to send him to magic camp, which will never, ever come up again.
Jesus. Yeah.
For real.
I read...
That kid's dead now, too.
Yeah. I read through Why the Last Man in the first issue, and there's so much, fun little bits. And you know what? Hero she's getting... heat from her other paramedic buddies because they're like, oh, she slept with every fireman in the place. But you know what she's not doing? Cheating on some other wife with a dude that she then fucking murders right before the apocalypse happens.
Okay, so that was kind of an interesting idea of getting away with a murder just because it happened right before an apocalypse happens.
It's an interesting idea, but it's done so poorly. It's like everything else on this show.
But also it makes her character feel like...
It gives Hero a baggage that she doesn't
a baggage that I don't think she needs?
Yeah.
No, she does not.
There's enough emotional trauma here for half of the world just fucking dying.
Yeah, I mean, if that fight happens and she's fighting with him about not talking to his wife, and there's this guy that she loves, and they're in the middle of this fight, and she's like, get out forever, I never want to see you again, and then he fucking dies, that's way better and the same kind of trauma, and it doesn't make her so awful.
Yeah. I was so mad that I was so mad at Yorick by the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
Both because of the decision we just discussed, he ends up having the proposal conversation over dinner with Beth in the apartment. And that scene is so bad. It goes so quickly from him proposing to her going, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this and blah, blah, blah. And then she does not say she wants to date other people. She just says, I'm about to go, we don't know to college or what. I don't think we know to college or what, but she's going to go do this thing and meet people like other humans. And he immediately jumps, he's the dick there. He immediately jumps to, oh, so you're saying you just want to move to Australia and cheat on me? Are we breaking up?
She says, I don't want to bring you with me, not because I want to cheat on you, just because you're gonna blame me for being bored, and you're gonna hold me back.
We've already, and this is a discussion that they've clearly already had.
And that's what I'll say. It's clear. I mean, I'll say this for Yorick in his defense. I think he interpreted that 100% right. The way she was talking about it, she was definitely going to talk about sowing some wild oats and that kind of thing. But the thing is, that's a conversation they've clearly had, and he was not okay with it.
Well, and he jumps immediately to to a classic guy thing of being super mad at her for not being sufficiently grateful for 3 or 4 tasks that she did not ask him to do.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
hated
Yeah.
that. Was
Then-
so douchey.
Then he punches a wall. I mean, like,
Yeah.
he regrets it because it hurts his hand, but I was still just like, dude, this is a whole list of classic shit that you should not be in a
Yeah.
relationship with that dude.
Yeah.
I packed your shit today. I didn't ask
didn't
you to
ask
do
you to
that.
fucking do
Well,
that.
I did it anyway,
Also-
and you should be appreciative. Like, what
That's
the
a question
Yeah.
they're going to ask me at
York-
the airport too, dude. Thanks.
I get York being kind of a loser. That makes sense as far as being the last hope of humanity, and he's kind of a schlubby idiot.
Yeah.
But him being a straight up fucking asshole is
Yeah.
really not
Well, he's
selling me.
He's supposed to just be kind of a doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. There's nothing that really fits his interests.
Yeah. He's an
Kind of
underachiever,
schlub,
but
yeah. Who
Yeah.
then gets faced with like this huge task, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, now by the end of the first episode, he's the dude that in 8 days can't find his girlfriend on foot
Yeah.
from the night
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
Like, she left your apartment in the middle of the night. Neither of y'all have a car, I guarantee it, because you gave your sister shit about getting a DUI in Manhattan.
It makes no sense.
You can't find her.
Well, what they're doing is they're trying to put their thumb on the scale, so any type of change in the character will seem more extreme by making him super unlikable now.
I mean, he's got
I
so
guess.
far he can go.
Yeah. I just in the
I'm not
like,
saying
again,
you should do that. I think it's lazy writing.
Yeah, I
again
think
in
you're exactly right.
in the comics, Yorick he's an underachiever, but he's likable. He's got a wit about him, and he can like pick locks and get out of rooms and that kind of thing. He actually has a skill. And so they fucked that up, and they also fucked up Hero. And then let's talk about Agent 355, who in the comics is this ultimate badass character, and here she's just so forgettable.
Well, it's the subtle difference between, like, in the comics, she's a total badass, which makes her kind of like a Vulcan, and you're
Yeah.
looking at this character that just won't let anyone in, and so you want to see inside, like you want her to eventually crack and let somebody in, and
Yep.
here instead that comes off as, I'm just a happy psychopath ready to go on the next mission. What's up? And then when the
Yeah.
apocalypse happens, she immediately has like a tremor in her voice. Ma'am, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read you in on this or not, but who's left? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep. Yeah. She's supposed to be super confident, and it's wrong.
It's isn't she supposed to be like Michonne from Walking Dead
Yeah.
type, like badass?
Yeah. Yeah.
And her relationship with Yorick, how it evolves over the comic, these two people are not those guys at all.
I can't see it. Also, Dr. Mann's not even fucking in it yet. She's one of the
Right?
major characters. And they even fucked up the monkey. Because the monkey's supposed to be kind of cute. He's a troublemaker, but he's supposed to be you're supposed to like him. The second time he runs off on his own and gets York into trouble, I'd be like, fuck that. Let that monkey die.
I'm sorry, when he had to go down into the water in the second episode,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man, fuck that monkey.
Yeah. Bad. Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry
Nope.
about your monkey. Like, yeah.
Well, also, it like, why does Yorick keep taking his mask off when he knows that being
Yes.
the only dude around is like, it's such a TV thing of like, oh,
Yep.
we gotta show his face, even though it makes no fucking sense.
Even though he's not an actor, nobody knows.
Wonder-
Nobody cares. Nobody cares what the actor looks like.
Yeah, no one
Yeah.
cares about his face.
Yeah.
And-
And ampersand, for similar reasons that come up later, is also supposed to be in a diaper.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Diane Lane is probably the best part of this show, but she's playing Yorick's mom. And I understand the notion here of like, hey, maybe we shouldn't center this feminist story around a dude, but that's kind of part of the joke of it. And I think nobody got the joke. Nobody understood this was supposed to be fun and funny as well as an exploration. Like it's not supposed to be dour about the apocalypse.
Spoilers for a show that I don't think anybody's going to watch. If I remember right, ampersand's more important than him.
Yes. Yes.
Like, the joke of it is that he's not the fucking hero of this Joseph
Yeah.
Campbell thing.
The
Why The
monkey
Last Man is about a bunch of women trying to get this dude across a country to get to him where he needs to be. And I kind of like that in the comic, it cuts forward to the world. It's not in chaos, like it's
Yeah.
bad,
It's
but the women
different.
kind of have
Yeah.
it figured out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
The question is what happens in 10 years when we can't reproduce. Yeah.
we can't reproduce. That's the thing they're concerned about. And it's
Yeah.
not like it's a total collapse. Like what was it? It made sense. So like Israel went completely dark,
But
and,
they
like,
come
you
back
can't get-
up. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing that's driving me crazy too. Is like someone on this writing staff. And the writing staff is a bunch of people from like forgettable fare, like Extant and Animal Kingdom and shit like that. and there are people who want to do the lazy like horror apocalypse stuff. None of that is interesting here. We've seen that done, and I'm sorry, there's potential insults in things about the way they deal with trans issues and that kind of thing, but none of it is as insulting as basically the implication of, oh, the world's down to just women. Well, power and water is going to be gone within a few weeks. What the fuck?
There's women mechanics and electrician. Like, it's not that's really breaking down. It's the fact that half the population is fucking gone. That has an effect. And the fact that people are panicking that we might be the last generation. And I feel like it's all about how are women going to handle this? And what a weird take on it.
I'm wondering. Yeah. So now that you're kind of talking through the theme in the comic book, the thing with the rats, where the woman jumps on the car when the rats are running underneath, is that kind of playing off that theme of like when the helpless woman jumping on the table?
Oh, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that's bullshit too.
Kyle, you mentioned in our chat something about a gun thing. What were you talking about?
Oh no, you had just mentioned that this was older, and I thought that when the president, has all his guns out, and his aides making up a story about, oh, I shot my turkey and I own guns, and yeah, come on, give it a squeeze, baby, come on, squeeze that trigger. Like, it just seemed like they were trying to create a villain that fetishized guns, kind of in the way that like your NRA type.
I think it was a halfway attempt to put a gun message in there, but it came off as pretty lazy, and I don't know what they were trying to accomplish.
I feel like what they're trying to accomplish with it is ham-fisted. We're going to spend the first episode heightening the huge gulf of differences because men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah.
Men like them guns and women's can't touch the guns, and then all the men are going to die. So how's the women's going to have the guns?
The comic kind of skips a lot of this. It skips to like what's months later, or like 6 months later or something.
Which
I forget.
Was smart, yeah.
Because it's in an apocalypse like this, in any apocalypse movie, this is the part you skip. Because this is the hardest part to write.
This is the dragging the corpses away part. These people didn't turn to ash like a Marvel movie. There's bodies everywhere.
Yeah, so this isn't the interesting time. It's 6 months from now when all that shit's taken care of, but we're still stuck with no dudes.
Yes.
And that gives you time to have roving gangs and cities set up and shit like that. Because right now, people are just trying... I'm sorry,
well,
out of Punch
the Amazon gang or whatever, like that, they should already be in the show hunting Yorick or whatever.
Yeah,
the trans men that are with Hero that we see for a moment.
Yeah.
When one of them looks at her and is like, just go tell literally any government agent who you are and we will have food and water.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. If you want me half sober.
No,
I'm sorry. If you're hanging on to your sobriety in the apocalypse, I think you can do it around your mom for food and water and medical. Shut the... Oh my God. I would have Loki style, like we'd have turned on each other. I'd have dragged you out.
I don't even remember her being an addict in the comic.
No, she's not.
Oh, just because she's not. Okay.
They just gave her a murder and an alcohol baggage.
Every decision they made in developing this is wrong. You feel like...
wait till she cuts the boob off.
I am not saying you should treat Y as a holy text or any addict. You've got to be able to make changes for your adaptation. But you should have someone in the room whose job it is to say, does that make the story better? Because no one in the room is asking those questions about it. Because every decision they made is fucking stupid.
I don't understand how Pia Guerrera and Brian K. Vaughan are executive producers. I mean, I realize executive producer usually just means that you threw money down. But
I think that's it. I think they got credit for creating it. I don't think there's anything.
A dude wrote the comic, right?
Yeah.
So like, how is it coming off?
But he's not in the writers' room. They're not contributing.
And he shouldn't be. Like the Under the Dome was awful.
A dude wrote this comic in 2008, and somehow it's not as sexist offensive as this show.
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah.
2002?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The part we're watching was written in 2002, or came out in 2002, so it had to be written.
Right. Oh, I forgot. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This may be one of my biggest disappointments of the year. I was really looking forward to this, and by episode 3, I was hate watching it.
I made it almost through episode 2 when he went down into the water, and I was like, "Fuck this! It's so bad."
I Zack Snyder this. I was like, I kind of wanted to go back and read Why the Last Man, and I'm like, I don't want to not like it now.
Yeah.
The same thing with Dawn of the Dead. I'm like, I'm scared. It's not going to be as cool as I remember. And I'd rather have the memory of it.
It's not the comic. I went back and got my first trade out today just to see. And no, the comic is fine. The comic may be a little dated in some ways, but it's good and witty and clever. And this is none of that.
Yeah, what a trash fire.
You know, one thing you got to give them is they really found a monkey that looks like the monkey from the comics. I mean,
Isn't it
if
just
nothing
Marcel?
else.
Isn't it just Marcel from Friends?
Oh
It's
my
just the one
god!
monkey,
Yeah.
I'm
right?
sorry.
Casting for ampersand was not
That
point.
makes me think that moment in the Friends reunion where David Schwimmer clearly had a
Oh,
terrible
yeah.
relationship with that
Traumatic.
monkey, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
making too big a deal out of it." And he's like, "No, none of you
You didn't
know.
work with
None
the
of you
monkey."
had to." Say...
I can't believe a show, basically, I'm like, how about you tell me more and show me less?
Yeah.
I don't need to see all these fucking relationships. Like, people can just say that I had a husband and it sucked.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
they keep
yeah.
using him.
I knew we were in trouble when their mom in the comics is obviously important. She becomes the president, and but
Yeah.
she's not. She's an important catalyst character, but she's not in it a
Yeah.
shit ton.
She's
that I
not in
remember.
it.
And Diane Lane is the best thing happening on this show and the absolute center of it right now, and that's
Yeah.
a problem. Her character,
wrong.
her
Yeah, that's-
character
that's
is
wrong.
not supposed to be set up in the narrative to hold that.
And we're not supposed to be relieved when the last man is not on the show called Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't want to watch West Wing in the Apocalypse. That is
But
not
that's
interesting.
that's the best part of the show that's happening, which is
Fuck,
Yeah.
that
fucking
is,
frustrating.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about our last show for the week before we get to dessert, and that is a show that, honestly, before I watched Why, I thought this was going to be the big stinker of the week.
No, this is all right.
Yeah.
But Ken over on
Hey,
AMC
not as bad as Why the
is,
Last Man. Yeah.
is fucking Shakespeare compared to Why the Last Man. But it's still another boring AMC show.
Between Why the Last Man and this, I really got my sleep in this week.
So I didn't look anything up about Ken, and so there was a short a few years ago called Bagman about a
Mhm.
kid walking into the woods with this duffel bag. You don't really know what he's doing. It turns out he's found an alien weapon. It's not a Marvel one shot, but it's basically like that Marvel one shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it into a feature movie called Ken that did not extrapolate well into a feature movie and is meh. But I really there was a little part of my brain that was like, this is probably not that, but maybe they made a series out of that. And then nope. This is Charlie Cox from Daredevil, and I
Yep.
think I recognize
Everyone from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I recognize.
And then Littlefinger from Game of
Yep.
Thrones and Mance Rayder from Game of Thrones.
I don't
Oh,
recognize.
fuck, yeah.
Whoever the old drug dealer that wants to put the screws to the smaller drug dealer
Yeah.
at the start of it, I recognized him from some shit.
Yeah. he's a Game of Thrones
Team
guy
Game of
too.
Thrones. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with this show, and
No,
everybody's
it's fine.
doing really good. I mean, like, they're doing perfectly good work in their acting. Like, everything's. Some of the shots are even really. There's a moment in the drive-by shooting in the first episode where he leans up into he's been ducked down, and the guy leans up into the car to drive.
Yeah.
And when the car pulls forward, they leave him in the reflection in the windshield, and it's a really nice shot. Like, there's a couple
Yeah.
of moments where I'm
Dude.
like, this is really good.
There was a shot with the mom and the son where they, like, it was on the hood of the car as they were backing up.
Mhm.
And it was just an exposition
Yeah.
scene, but I thought it had a very interesting look
But at the same time,
as far as tension.
it never. Everything that's happening is by the numbers. Like, you know what's going to happen. Like, oh, well, that son's an idiot and is definitely going to shoot. And, like, you can just see all this stuff coming.
Well, AMC, I think there's like a rule for whenever you make a show on it, like there's only two things can happen in the show, one at the beginning and one at the end. And then it's like 35 minutes of like nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be character development, but I still don't really know any of these people by the end of it and don't care when they get shot.
When I realized halfway, I wasn't sad. I mean, when the son that we've been following gets shot at the end of the very end of the first episode, it wasn't a shock that had happened, because like you realize, like, oh, kid, you're fucking doomed. Like, about halfway through the episode, like as soon as like another person dies, you realize, like, oh shit, you're gonna be the tat for that tit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but when it happened, it was still, it's an odd feeling to be not surprised, kind of bored, and still not want something plot point wise to like, oh, I'm disappointed that you're going exactly
I don't
the way.
know what Charlie Cox did to get himself in jail, or what he did for the gang,
No,
or anything about him actually, other than he has a kid.
but him touching the bullet hole in the wall and nearly wetting himself was weird.
Something happened with him. He's clearly like substance abuse or violence abuse. He is definitely not wanting. He wants no part of
I feel
this.
like he shot the wife.
Oh,
That's all I can think.
Yeah,
'cause
or he was
because
framed for
even
it.
his family is like, why would you want to see your daughter? No, man, think about
Yeah.
her.
Actually, that does make you think
Oh,
that
maybe
it
so.
was
That
him.
makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
this show is the weirdest combo of like, I kind of care. I'm not gonna watch anymore.
Yeah.
But I found myself following it more than some. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
here, but there's nothing really right.
Like if this was on Netflix, you'd watch all of it, but because it's on AMC Plus and you can't even get it if you have cable. You got to go through their paywall.
Well, and they have very, very slowly pulled a football away before, and like
Yeah.
I feel like Rubicon is. I mean, there's so many AMC Plus shows where I'm like, no, but this is really quality. Like this is good. I know it's slow, but I'm going to stick with it.
They all have that pacing, and they all even kind of look the same with like this washed out color palette. I bet you could place this alongside The Killing and like,
Yeah.
what was that one?
The
The Sun
Judge.
show.
Yeah, The Judge.
The Judge.
Or Your
Yeah.
Honor.
Low Winter Sun.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I was thinking of.
So here's what I'll say, guys. The shows that are great on AMC, they all have great first episodes. Like Breaking Bad is a phenomenal first episode. Better Call Saul is a phenomenal first episode. Mad Men, though a slow burn show, has a fantastic first episode. So if they can't deliver on a pilot where they grab me, then I know because they never get better as they go along. They either start great and go great. Like Kevin Can Fuck Himself, the other show I'm watching AMC. It's a really good first episode.
Yeah. I kept watching this first one and going, you are telling a crime story in a fine way. Like I'm following it and everything, but this has to be the most by the numbers boring way you could have told me this. There's nothing. If there is something about this show that is different than 50 other crime movies I've seen, they're burying the lead. Like I need to know. I kept watching the first episode and thinking like, surely there's something you could reveal that is a reason that this got greenlit and is different.
Can Charlie Cox be a sword? Come on,
like right? Maybe Charlie Cox is a sword,
but it's Irish. Les, it's Irish.
They have swords.
He could be a haggis.
Sabers.
They have sabers. Right? Yeah, they have swords. I don't know. Big broadswords like William. No, that's Scottish. Never mind.
I did get a chance to like practice my Irish accent for any audiobook work. That was basically all I got out of this. Because again, it's an AMC show where they all have like the HBO show. What was it? Murder Dirter.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, everyone has a specific accent.
Yeah.
And like it very specific to a certain area, and like it's supposed to give it flavor and like a cultural gravitas. Also it proves my theory of if you're ever doing a job, you're pulling a heist, you're creating a mob, you're doing anything illegal, you hire one more person than it takes to do the job. If it needs 4 people, hire 5 people so that you can kill or get rid of the dumbest person. Because there's always one person that is fucking stupid and can't do anything right.
That's a good plan. Also, I think it's very telling that in discussing the show, we were like, Charlie Cox and the guy with the snake, and like I couldn't tell you a single one of these characters' names.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was struggling not to call him Daredevil. Jesus.
I called him Daredevil when I was thinking about it through the whole show of like, well, Daredevil's coming over here. And then
I was calling what's his face Littlefinger the whole time.
Yeah. So we know like the kid gets killed and Charlie Cox's character gets dragged back into this thing against his will. We all know where this is going.
It's almost like Godfather, but you just take every go and you go Godfather, but what if
what if it was boring?
Right.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back into this fucking boring shit. I was more interested washing cars.
Still, I would watch the rest of the season and rather than watch another episode of that abomination that is the Why Last Man adaptation.
See, I guess I didn't hate it as much as you because I found both very boring. Of just like, just tired. I was so tired. I literally was like, by the end of I only watched one Why the Last Man because I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep. I can't do this.
You didn't get a chance to really hate it on the level that I did.
Maybe that's it. I didn't watch
the second episode. I got actually annoyed of like, okay.
Yeah, well, you texted me that said that it got worse.
Yeah.
After episode 1.
It
and I watched
does.
episode 1 and I was like, it gets worse than this?
It absolutely gets worse.
I'm fine then. I'm okay.
I went from bored to actively angry at it.
Like the more you watch of it, the more it actively rubs the wrong way against any nostalgia you have for that comic. Like it went from like, this is not a great show that I'm kind of bored by, to like, this is a blasphemy against a property I like.
Yes, yeah. All right, let's reward ourselves for our sins this week with the double desserts. Yeah.
Woo!
Ted Lasso had another fucking barn burner episode. An extended episode. I think this one was like 45 minutes long or something. This one, I don't know about you guys. I cry at every episode of Ted Lasso. Like, not just like a little bit of, like, I sob at every episode of Ted Lasso at some point. And it's always something I can see coming. And it's always like that happy sob of like, oh man, this gets me. I'm so happy about this. This week there were a couple of those. There was I love that they didn't do the underdogs win thing. They on this show, they love to do no, man, they're the underdogs. They get their asses kicked.
No, they got slaughtered.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about soccer, and I know 5-0 is horrendous.
Yeah,
that's
And like all the sports commentators had been saying the whole, like, anytime they asked any of them, like, I can't lie, the other team they're going to play today is legit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, it's not going to go well.
They set it up like maybe we'd see a miracle, and then no, it gets brutally worse and worse. And the payoff to it, though, with his dad in the locker room, I love the way that the way that plays out, where everyone's just kind of staring and nobody's doing anything, and they all just like, it's the most uncomfortable thing.
It's so awkward.
And then when Jamie hauls off and hits him, at once you're like, you're thankful, like yeah, he deserved it, but at the same time, it fucking traumatizes Jamie to have to hit this guy.
Yeah. And that Roy
is the one who hugs him. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Like, they panned away, you could tell what was going to happen, and it still got me.
Oh, it was so good. And I love Beard getting that guy out of there, nailing him in the door.
Too.
Oops.
I'll tell you this. I thought they were going to reverse. I thought Roy rather than be the one who would kick his dad's ass, Roy was going to be the sensitive one. When Ted like beelines out of there, I thought Ted was going after the dad. I thought he was going to dress him down, and I was kind of hoping for that. I'm glad. I mean, they didn't need to do it, and I'm glad. And where they did go was interesting, but I thought they were going to reverse it that way.
Well, Ted's thing this whole episode was with a therapist and actually really connecting with her. And we're seeing her, like, she also shuts everybody out too, but in a different way than Ted. So them opening up to each other. And I think that thing with Jamie and like his dad, like it triggered him. And he called when he needed help.
All of it was so well handled, I felt.
All the stuff that we thought was going on with his, I mean, it's been obvious that he's struggling with his son being so far away and feeling like abandoning his son. And then when he tells her, everything we've seen just clicks into place.
Everything about Ted makes sense.
Oh my God. Yeah. You were, no wonder you're so positive because you're trying to make up for a deep wound, and you are so worried about abandoning your kid because you were abandoned by your dad in the worst way possible. Like, it all makes sense.
And we know from like the Dart episode in the first season, like how, like that his dad was not a bad dad. Like his dad was a good dad.
No, his dad taught him things. Yeah.
And it's just.
He said his dad was always harder on himself than he was on anyone else.
Yep.
And I'm so glad they didn't have Ted go into the therapist's office one episode for the first time. Them have an awkward thing where they have a really, I'm sure beautifully written scene where, she breaks him down and then Ted's good. And I'm so glad that instead they had Ted burst into her office and out like 3 times. Yeah. And then finally like have to, almost get back on his bullshit and be reaching out to her to help her out.
Yeah. And even in here, when he says the thing to her, he's like, yeah, so I don't know if maybe that's part of why the issue. She's like, no, it definitely is. And we should talk about that more. I
love she was like, that's for sure it, dude.
The genius of the way she gets that out of him, it's not just the trigger of Jamie. She gave him something earlier.
Yep.
And I love that she's like, no, I don't need any feedback or to have you fix it or anything. I'm sharing it with you. That's it.
It's what her therapist told her. You gotta meet him halfway.
And I was so I felt like they handled this all really, really well.
She needed to show vulnerability first. And I did love it when he shows up in the hospital too, talking about the healthcare system there. And she gets wheeled up and it's like, oh, fuck me. She's like, I can't handle this positive fucking attitude right now.
What were you saying, Kyle?
Oh no, real quick on that. It's funny because you don't even have to hear his voice; you just hear the questions that he's asking, and he's the one in the building asking them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But we've talked about kind of Jamie's big thing. We talked about obviously Ted had a big thing, but I feel like there's two other kind of like big moments in this episode.
Yes, there are.
I wanted to save the big one for the end because
Yeah.
it has got me. Oh, I don't get like this with relationships and shows, but this is so stressful.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we may have big ones because I was actually a little thrown by Beard leaving at the end. Did anybody else pick up on that?
So, well, the only reason I know anything about this is because I kind of wish I didn't know, but they show you what the next episode is, and the next episode is like a Coach Beard bottle show.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
said next episode is a Coach Beard show showing him, like he said, shaking off that loss.
Yeah, because otherwise I'd be worried about it.
He's not Ted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
No
takes
lie.
this personally, so
I picked up on that cue because obviously they were setting something up, but in my head I was like, they're gonna kill Coach Beard. This is the
No,
last
they're not
time
gonna kill
Ted's ever
Coach
gonna
Beard.
see him.
This is not that show.
Oh my
Jesus, Kyle.
Oh.
fuck you, Kyle, for even saying that.
No.
How dare you? That's like mentioning Beyonce and Jay-Z breaking up around Ted. Like, why would you even say that?
The worst thing that's going to happen to Coach Beard, he's going to drink somebody's mushroom
Oh
tea
my
again.
God.
That's
I
it.
love that
Yep.
Roy names the
Oh,
game.
fancy! You're drinking
Roy
tea
names the
now.
game, yes.
Yep.
I also that whole scene. Remember we talked the big moments again. That whole scene of them slowly revealing things. That Higgins is like, oh yeah, I didn't get that trade
Fucked up
done.
time
my bad."
zones, and we didn't get that.
And
done.
then Roy's like, I don't read your scouting reports. They're boring, and I'm not gonna.
Ever.
I love Nate's was like, I think up stuff in advance to pretend I spontaneously think of to seem a lot smarter, and they were all like,
They're
"That's
like,
pretty
oh,
smart,
that's
actually."
a good
really good
move.
plan.
Yeah,
No, that's actually a pretty good move. Like they all respect it.
So no, the big moment that I think Nick is referring to is the stuff with Rebecca and Sam. Sam and Rebecca, from Cheers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The way this plays out, and I love that they keep turning expectations every time I think they're going to go one way. But like them at the bar, they have that little awkward thing. The bit where she's like, "You're what, 24? No, I'm 21. Oh my God, I'm a pedophile."
I had that same reaction because I was like, I'm way too old for you. I'm like, come on, age is just a number. And he said, actually, I'm 21. Oh, that number's a lot lower than I thought it was.
Shit,
Wow.
that number, that's a big number. Yeah.
That's very low. Oh boy.
They managed to get me on and off that relationship several times. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe that is where they're going to go. This doesn't quite happen. But then they do that beautiful date scene where they smartly cut out any dialogue and it's just music and showing them obviously connecting really, really well.
Well, they connected on banter, so obviously they can talk to each other.
Yeah. But that's different than in person. And I think that they want to show them they have that in-person chemistry too.
Can we talk about the plausibility of this dating app? Because that is mentioned every episode. Like, how do they not know age or anything about
That's
the
the
other
point of the
person?
app. It's supposed to be
Banter.
anyway.
I can totally see that actually. I mean, it's like, as long as everybody's of legal age,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then yeah, it should be. I mean,
If she knows that going in, why wasn't she more open to it? Oh, an 18-year-old, let's get it.
I think probably she was still thinking.
Well,
I
he
mean,
quoted Rilke.
He quoted Rilke. Yeah, I mean, this guy did not seem like a 21-year-old soccer player.
There was a reason we thought it was Ted in the banter text.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
It's the text of it, like the dialogue he used was just made him feel a lot older.
Yeah.
The
And
I-
I love Sam's move at the end where he texts
Yes.
him the address and he's outside the door
So you'll have it.
and he's like, "Why did you text it for next time?"
I love
That was good.
you
You gotta give him that.
Sam is he's like Woody on Cheers, to call it a Cheers metaphor. He's this innocent, naive looking guy. He's always very polite and very sweet, but he's got some moves.
Mhm.
He's a soccer. He's a footballer.
pro
so
Oh,
yeah.
he's got game.
when they're at the like super expensive restaurant having the date and everything, and I kept having to remind myself that like Sam is not as wealthy as Rebecca, obviously. Nowhere close.
but he
like,
does all right.
he's doing all right. Sam's fine.
Yeah.
he can also afford to eat here and be in that suit.
And yeah, he,
And
and he may be very sincere and nice and all that, but he knows, like, he's got moves. He knows he can be confident enough with Rebecca that he can basically, even though she's much older than him and has more experience than him, he can be the one who's like, no, this is good. Let's do
One
this.
of the moments they have it's both a Sam and Jamie moment, where they twist the knife on Jamie's dad earlier. When Sam's on the bike and gets the call from his dad, and it's just a normal phone call for them. Like, it's not even that big a. I mean, like, I love you too. Like, and they have a cute little banner, like, it's because I had such a good dad. Well, that's all true. Like,
and he's proud of him.
And you can just
that's the other thing. He's
see it
so proud of him.
Jamie.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It doesn't hurt him as much as it hurts Colin.
Oh, the little detail of Jamie's dad.
Colin, I feel like poor Colin is just Nate reamed him, and now he's had a bar dropped on his.
For some reason, in season 2, they decided Colin is getting all the punishment.
Put on this red shirt.
Right.
Colin needs an older woman or something too, because poor Colin, he is suffering for us.
Yeah.
He's a strong and independent man.
He's not a piece of shit.
He is. He's not a piece of shit.
He's not a piece of shit. Although I gotta say, I was so mad at Jamie's dad showing up, and I didn't even realize I cared about this. But when he showed up with the other team's jersey,
jerseys, oh fuck yeah!
I was like, I feel betrayed, and I'm not. And the English people are way more psychotic about this. Isn't that like?
Yeah, you got VIP seats in the Richmond section, and you showed up with 2 of your buddies drinking in the other team's jersey and being loud and obnoxious. You are lucky you didn't get killed.
Isn't that like a soccer version of like a glove to the face duel?
Yeah.
No, I've been at basketball games where this has happened, where people like purposely sit in the other team's sections to heckle. And it's either it starts a fight or you just ruins the whole game.
In the first season, they discussed releasing their tickets, I think, to the other fan. Like, it was something Rebecca was going to do when she was trying to wreck the club. And she tells Higgins, like, release the tickets to the Manchester fans or whatever. And he's like, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
It'll make the stadium solid red, or solid opposite colors.
Yeah.
And so, like, to watch them just low scale do it. Also, Bug, what the living fuck, man.
Well, he eats bugs for money.
He does eat a lot of bugs for money. Oh.
That whole conversation with Higgins in the closet was pretty good with Jamie.
Also great.
Talking about it. Although I did agree with Jamie, like, this is a little sad, man. Come on, find an office.
He's like, he closed the door. Less questions.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Again, just the best show on TV. Working at a level of like everyone else doing TV should be looking at this going, oh man, how do they do that? The people doing Y should all quit their jobs and go to different industries if they watch Ted Lasso.
What am I doing?
That's how much better they are at TV than you.
My boss and I don't normally talk about TV, but this week she told me just this awful story of something that happened to her family. And she ends the story with, well, thankfully there's Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Ted Lasso definitely came along when we needed it. There's the third season. That third season can't be the final season unless the pandemic is over by then. We can't go through it without Ted Lasso.
Bill and Ted style, like it's got to actually fix the world if that's going to be the last season.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Bill and Ted Lasso.
Let's talk. What if?
What if?
Which is
Killmonger saved Tony Stark. Seems like it's going to go well, right? Right? Tony gets saved.
We'd seen this teased in the trailer. I don't know if you guys remember this moment where they show Killmonger grab the bomb and throw it away. But I didn't know where they were going. And this was just a perfect blending of like Iron Man movie tropes and Black Panther movie tropes. I loved it. I thought this was one of their better episodes.
I didn't enjoy it as much as some of the other episodes, but it feels so far the most like an actual What If comic. Because this doesn't go anywhere that I mean, like the Captain Carter one, I'm left with a world where I'm like, I love that world. Let's stick with it. Or even the zombies one, like, well, we can keep playing in this universe. This one is just a like, no, this thing went wrong, and then it makes everything else go wrong. And like, Rhodey's dead, and this has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened. And like, and you're just left at the end with like standing there with the Watcher going, well, that's a shit universe. Yeah.
Is he technically a good guy now in this universe?
That was my only complaint, is that they end it with
they end it with Shuri and Potts
and Pepper Potts, like they're gonna fix it, and then they cut away like, oh, well, I kind of want to see what they did with that.
And that's why I was like, that's the What If comic feeling of like, oh, y'all hint that there might be, but like, oh yeah, we're not gonna see any of the rest of that universe.
That's my one gripe about the What If so far, is that every one of these, I think every single episode, has left me with, well, what happens next,
Right.
you motherfuckers?
Like you're accidentally
Okay.
bringing Thanos the last gem and you don't know it, which is how
Yeah.
Zombies ends.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are killing me because keen eyes will notice that in the trailer we have seen scenes of Shuri and Pepper Potts fighting off somebody with Delora Milaje troops in a later episode.
So maybe we'll get a sequel.
And have you guys seen? So they are teasing Guardians of the Multiverse.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Okay,
they
yeah.
when this whole started, they came out with this poster, and it was like Captain Carter,
Rory from Doctor
T'Challa,
Who, and
Dark
Sarah
Doctor
Lance,
Strange.
and
No,
wait,
no,
those are
that's-
Legends of Tomorrow. This is which?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're gonna cross over all the episodes.
I really think they are.
I don't know if they are though. The thing is, like, if they're gonna do that, they're gonna have to get a voice replacement for T'Challa because this was the last Chadwick Boseman. This was the third one, so they don't have any more. I
think
thought
they
there
have
were
But I
three.
think
more.
we've done 4 though. Zombies, this one, his episode, and then there was one more he was in. Was
I
it
thought
the
this was
one where they all get killed?
no, he wasn't in that
No.
one.
Oh,
No, I thought there were 3. At any rate,
yeah,
I
4.
don't know if they have enough T'Challa to do more of that, but that does bring me to one thing I was going to talk about in this episode, which is this was the first one I felt like I noticed the voice replacements a little bit more.
Well, it's hard to not to when it's Tony Stark is in so much of it.
Mhm.
Why does everyone who tries to do a Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark voice lean into Jack Black? Why does that happen?
They try and come off as snide and smug.
Does he sound that much like Jack Black? Because every voice actor from the Avengers cartoon on up to this, it's like, no, that's you're doing Jack Black. That's not Tony Stark. That's Jack Black. That's
That's because
wrong.
they need to pull it back a little bit because Robert Downey Jr. is, as weird as his performances usually are, he's actually
Yeah.
really subtle with a lot of
Yeah.
his stuff.
Yeah.
Like his joke pattern and the way he does stuff is very fast and actually kind of underplayed.
Yeah, people don't talk under their breath enough, I don't think, when they're trying to do him.
Yeah, like he'll remark under his breath like a little like comeback or
Yeah,
whatever and be
yeah.
and be kind of a dick, but in a fun way. So and they lean into the dick part and
Yeah.
are like and they kind of get loud and obnoxious for some reason.
Yeah. But there's Tony, Pepper, and Shuri are all voiced by sound-alikes, and they're not very sound-alike, and they're big characters in this, and it
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Pepper
and
sounds
I definitely
really off
noticed
to
it
me,
more
and
here.
I don't usually notice things
Yeah.
like that.
Also, they drew Shuri weirdly young.
Right?
I know she's short,
Yeah.
but Jesus.
Like she's supposed to be a kid, but they made her she looks like 13 here. And it's a weird call.
So would this have been 8 years before the events
Maybe
of Black
that's it?
Ah,
Panther?
that may be
that's
because
why.
this does take place
This
earlier.
the
That's true.
beginning of the
Yeah.
MCU.
Yeah, that's true. I liked this. I thought they did a great job with Killmonger being sort of like, you're like, wait a minute, is he actually legit here? Like, did he just save Tony? What's his actual agenda? What's he trying to do? Is he trying to save? Did he decide to save Wakanda? No, wait, he has a backup for the. Is he trying to start a war?
Does he like anime?
The same long game he's always had. I love
like,
that.
Like,
I
yeah.
said as soon as I'm like, nah, they won't change that because that's the interesting part of his character.
Yeah.
And his plan in this one is actually a lot more convoluted than it is in Black Panther.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it has a lot more places where stuff could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it does go wrong. Like he gets caught by Shuri and Pepper Potts later, but there's like a couple different instances where
Oh hell, he gets caught by Tony.
Yeah, this is definitely not the
Yeah.
universe where this could likely happen. I mean, like, there's a reason why, like, this is not the way this went.
yeah, because I feel like this is a cool episode, but this plan is kind of inefficient.
Yeah.
For how inefficient the plan is, each part of it does set him up to where he could have pivoted somewhere else. So by saving Tony
Yeah.
Stark, he's trying to get access to, those weapons and stuff. All right. He would have had some type of, insight just with that piece. And then that would lead him to the next piece, so on. And I feel like because this was so focused around Killmonger, he got to have like little mini boss battles. Like it wasn't like he just rolled through twirling the mustache. Like he got to take down the mech and then got kind of a badass, like rally fight scene at the end, taking down a bunch of the mechs.
Mhm.
Sure, that I'm sure were programmed not to hurt him.
Right. There were several times though where I mean, he had
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 times where he could have stopped his plan at that moment and
Yeah.
just not done the next betrayal. Like when he gets to Wakanda, I love that he's set up to be able to lie without lying. You know,
Yeah.
I would want to avenge. Like he keeps saying things that are like, if y'all knew, he just said it.
And the funny thing is, like, the King T'Chaka, he knows that he killed his father.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of surprised that at no point did they have that discussion.
Or at least worry that he knows, for fuck's
Yeah.
sake.
I get the sense that he feels guilt of it. So maybe he doesn't
Yeah.
realize that Eric knows, but he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to make
And he's
you
not gonna
Black
tell
Panther
him.
because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what
True.
I did.
The one thing that stood out to me here is like, wait a minute, how does that make sense? Because most of this was pretty like, oh yeah, this domino doesn't fall. That makes sense. I mean, I still think Loki and the Avengers would happen without Iron Man. That still should happen. But I guess we hadn't advanced
Yeah,
that
like,
part yet.
Maybe
Oh.
not the exact Avengers Initiative, but a bunch of the Thor stuff and cosmic stuff would still happen. Like,
Yeah.
Because the Avengers Initiative was created because of Captain Marvel, not because of Iron Man.
Yeah.
So that all should... But the thing that struck me is like, wait a minute, I think you guys are cheating, is they call his mother General, and then she goes out and fights with the Dora Milaje, and I'm like, that's cool and all, but that's not at all the way that she was portrayed.
In
Yeah.
the films?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
change.
they
And
call
I-
her General.
They
and I
call
was
her
like,
General,
okay.
and that was like, I thought he was talking to Okoye, and I'm like, wait a minute, she's not a general. What is this?
I guess they were trying to show that the actual army is controlled by her, and Okoye is just in charge of the Dora Milaje.
They did get Angela
guess.
Bassett to do the voice.
Oh, did they get Angela Bassett? Was that Angela Bassett?
Yeah, so I wonder if that was like, I ain't coming back to just sit on the throne.
That could have been.
Yeah, I bet that was. She's like, no, I want to fight. I want to be cool.
Which there's nothing that stops them from, Wakanda Forever giving her some more like stuff to do in the action department if she's up for
Bombay.
it.
Yeah. Oh, also, I should say, I really like the episode, but I have little gripes. Michael B. Jordan, great voice actor. I hate the way he delivers Wakanda Forever.
Oh yes,
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I did like the
Wakanda
way he
Forever is
delivered it.
weird.
He delivered it weird, and he did it twice. I was like, wait, that's not how you say it.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
That was a
Yeah.
little off. I did think it was interesting that his live action costume was inspired by the Dragon Ball Z, the Vegeta costume. And then now we're getting that costume animated again, which I think it still translates. I think it looks dope.
I like
all
his
three
look,
ways.
and I like that he's like, I like anime. And that's
Yeah.
why they
Oh,
look
yeah.
like
We're gonna have a
Gundams.
bunch of Gundams then.
Because the first model they bring up, I'm like, you're going to get sued.
Right.
Like, that looks...
So I like that Tony was like, really? Also, Tony's, I mean, what ifs are great for these kind of throwaway lines, but Tony's little like, well, we need a power source. I mean, maybe we could miniaturize an arc reactor.
No, that's
No, that's
dumb.
That's
dumb.
stupid.
That's dope.
His whole press conference, the bit where there's some great dialogue in there. The bit he's like, did you get hurt? He's like, no, but I did drop my 26 Macallan Scotch, which I think is a war crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that whole where they blow up Obadiah Stane's plan or whatever.
Yes,
Like, Killmonger
yeah.
just comes
Yeah.
up with receipts. Like, he's got receipts, and he's
Yep.
Google it. I just
that's-
sent it to the web.
That's another bad voice, by the way. I mean, I know you're going to get Jeff Bridges for this thing, but the guy doing Obadiah was also not quite up to
Yeah.
snuff. I think all their substitute voices were definitely noticeable more at this one than they had been previously.
Ross Marquand, step it
That
up.
was actually, I think Obadiah is actually kind of a unique Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
character because it sounds like
'Cause you
Jeff
can
Bridges,
understand
but
him?
yeah, but I feel like he uses his range different than all of his other films. Like if you tried
Yeah.
to double his voice for Obadiah with like dialogue from other films, it'd be probably really hard.
I agree. He's not the dude for sure.
Hmm.
Well, that's a wrap on this week's TV Dudes, the 350th episode.
Woo!
You can get more content about us talking horror movies on Patreon if you go to patreon.com/TVDudes. And until next time,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.